Hello, hello, hello. Today, what I'd like to do is discuss a bit about speaking. Why sometimes people have problems, okay? And I prepared something, of course. Let's do this. So, today we are going to discuss the top 5 tips to speak with more confidence. Now, when people come to the OET preparation, they might have a good level of English and just require some tips, tricks, techniques. But there are also those people who have a lower level of language and they need to gain confidence. Confidence can only be gained if you practice. As I was saying earlier, if you don't try to get over this fear, then you won't be able to succeed, okay? You need to show up, and you need to show up for yourself. You need to show up for your family. You need to show up for your dreams. You need to show up for the life that you want to have. So what are my top tips for speaking? First of all is focus on the message, not the words. One of my former students, before she actually came and enrolled in my courses, she had been to the UK and she had a car accident. She wasn't really hurt. That's why she was able to go to the pharmacy or chemist and ask for help. Now, because she didn't speak English, she's just said, vroom, vroom, boof, ouch. And the pharmacist understood. So sometimes what I see that happens with students is that they get to a certain word which they try to translate in their mind. They realize they don't know how to say that word in English and they just block. What you need to understand is that you need to transmit the message, not the words, okay? So what she wanted to say to the pharmacist was that, I got hurt in a car accident and I need some treatment. And she was able to get the treatment. And it's the same thing with you, okay? So if you have a lower level of language, please focus first on the message. And what you should be doing would be to try and think of the simplest context, of the simplest words that you could use to express the message. Tip number 2 is fluency over accuracy. Accuracy means grammar or correct use of language. Fluency means not having the which I do quite a lot, really. I've started editing my live classes because I can't stand listening to myself anymore. But fluency is the thing that we need to focus on. When you ask teachers what's more important, at the beginning, they're going to say fluency. If you speak, you can get correction. But if you don't speak because you're afraid you might say something wrong, people won't know that you know the language and you will never improve, because if you don't speak, nobody's going to be able to give you feedback. So use simple words and just speak. Now, many people think, they are going to laugh at me. Well, if you are at a beginner level or a pre-intermediate level, or if you know that you don't know grammar very well, well, that's life. People are going to see that, but you can't improve if you don't do anything. Okay, so today's topic is actually do something. Now, once you get to understand the rules or you get to study the rules, you should make a conscious effort to use them, okay? So I see people many times, they study grammar and then they wonder, why? Why am I not able to use those grammar rules? Because I studied them, I understood them. Why? Well, you need to think of those rules, okay? What you should be doing would be to think of the rules. There is a fixed word order in English. You always start with a subject, then you have the verb, then you have the object, then you have certain phrases which show manner, which show place, which show time. So the sentences are usually well structured. You do have rules. You just need to think of those rules. I hear people sometimes saying, you need to learn to think in English. No, you are not a native speaker. You'll never think in English. Okay, my daughter, her first language is English. Yes, she does that. I don't do that. So you won't think in English. You will think about English. You'll be able to think of the rules faster. I still think about the rules sometimes, okay? I'm not perfect. I'm a no-native teacher, and that's not the problem. What you're actually going to do is think about the rules very, very fast. Once you practice this, once you make this conscious effort of thinking about the rules, meaning, for example, if I want to say that something happens regularly, then I use present simple. Present simple is formed by using the verb, just the verb. I don't have any INGs, just the verb. So if I think of these rules once, twice, 3 times, then it's going to be easier for me to speak. So use simple terms. At first, focus on getting the message out, and then think about the rules. Now, of course, once you start studying the language, you are going to think, well, there are so many rules. What am I going to do now? Have a weekly topic. For example, if you've studied past simple, okay, this week only focus on past simple. It doesn't matter how you say the present tenses. It doesn't matter if you have all the prepositions. It doesn't matter if you have the correct word order, although this would be quite important, actually. What matters is that this week, every time I want to say something about the past, I'm going to use ed or the second form. I'm going to use did or didn't with the first form again. So I'm going to pay attention again. Conscious effort, and focus on each problem, on a problem each week. So the last thing you should be doing is face your fears, because if you're always afraid, I'm going to get it wrong, I'm going to get it wrong, I'm going to get it wrong, you're never going to get it right. So what if you get it wrong? So what if someone laughs? Okay, do they solve the problem? If you get upset, if you get stressed, is that going to solve your problems? No, you're the only one who can solve your problems. And if you have problems, you need to do something about them. So face your fears. Now, here I have an example from a student of mine who's actually passed the OET exam recently. Her problem was the speaking part of the exam, and not because she didn't have a good level of language. She had a very good level of language, and that was the problem, because she knew the vocabulary, she knew the grammar, she knew that she could make mistakes. And every time she heard herself saying something that was not 100% correct, she would just block. Okay, and it took us a lot of discussion about how to get over those fears. Her problem was not actually the English language. Her problem was getting the courage to speak and getting over those fears of, I'm going to make mistakes, I'm going to make mistakes. So what if you're going to make mistakes? You are not a native speaker. You are going to make mistakes, but you can learn from those mistakes, okay? So making mistakes is not the end of the world. Not learning from your mistakes, ignoring your mistakes, that is not very good. But making mistakes is your way of learning, okay? So that's why I actually wanted to come today and have this session. If you have any questions regarding OET speaking or speaking in general, please comment. Let's try to help you face your fears and actually prepare for that exam and go and pass it. Okay, so speaking. If you have problems speaking, focus on the message, focus on fluency, pay attention to the rules, and focus on one rule a week and try to face your fears. Yes, people might laugh, but not for a long time. Once they hear you improve, they're going to be quite proud of you, and you are going to be quite proud of yourself. As I was saying earlier, if you have any questions regarding the OET exam, OET preparation, and so on and so forth, post them. The important thing here is if you don't do anything, you won't solve your problem. What we're trying to create here is a community. There's free stuff everywhere. The problem at this point, I don't think, is not finding free materials, because you can find free books, you can find free trainings. There are loads of free things. What you need, from my point of view, and what I've seen with my students, is support. You need support. You need to know that you are not alone. You need to know that someone believes in you and that you can start believing in yourself today. Okay, so this has been the lesson. I hope you've understood. If you want to practice your job, okay, because I studied so many years and I want to be able to practice my job. If you want to have more financial security for your family, if you want to work less, then get involved. What you are lacking at this moment is not loads of free materials. What you are lacking is engagement, getting involved, and support. Let's do this here for everyone. All right, guys. So I'll see you next time. Bye.